Our movie begins with a girl named Ever, who's talking with her mom about the school camping trip that she's about to go on with her high school classmates. Moments later, her friend Tamara pulls up in her car outside Ever's house. They're really close friends. As soon as Ever steps outside, Tamara notices her outfit and comments, "Your clothes are so outdated and really uncool." Ever gets into the car with Tamara, and they drive off. While they're on the road, Tamara talks to Ever saying, "Girl, you're so beautiful, but the clothes you wear just hide your beauty. You need to start learning how to choose better outfits." Suddenly, they're involved in an accident, hitting their classmate Randall, who's riding his bike across the road. Both of them immediately get out of the car to check on him, and luckily, Randall is unharmed. At first, Randall is furious, but when he realizes that Tamara was the one driving, his attitude softens, and he says, "Don't worry, guys, it's all good, nothing happened." It's clear that Randall has a crush on Tamara, but she doesn't really pay him any attention and doesn't even remember his name. As they're talking, a cup of juice gets thrown at Randall by their classmate Danny, who pulls up in his car. Inside the car with him are his girlfriend, Jessie, and his best friend, Hunt. Danny mocks Randall, laughing and making fun of him before driving off. Ever offers Randall a ride, but Tamara quickly shuts it down, saying there's no room in the car for him. They drive off, and soon, everyone arrives at school. Their teacher, Mr. Lorenzo, who is in charge of the trip, collects the students' phones before they all board the bus. Randall, running late, finally gets on the bus too. At this point, Steven, the guy Ever has a crush on, is shown. He sits next to Randall on the bus and keeps glancing at Ever, while Danny continues to pester them by throwing a bag of chips from behind. As the bus moves along, Mr. Lorenzo starts to get worried about the route and says to the driver, "Wayne, it looks like you don't know the way and are taking us in the wrong direction." Wayne replies, "No, sir, I know the route well, but this is just a shortcut." Suddenly, something hits the bus, and a huge amount of blood splatters onto the windshield right in front of Wayne, catching him off guard. He loses control of the bus due to the shock and can't see ahead. The bus veers off the road into a ditch, and Wayne slams the brakes. Out of nowhere, something strikes the bus with force, leaving everyone inside terrified and unsure of what's happening. After a few moments, they hear a warning on the radio about a dangerous chemical spreading in the area, urging everyone to stay indoors. Mr. Lorenzo sees a man banging on the door of the bus and tells one of the students to open it, but they all object. Lorenzo, determined, opens the door himself. He welcomes the stranger, but without warning, the man viciously attacks Lorenzo, biting him on the face and neck. Everyone is in shock as chaos breaks out. They rush to escape through the back door of the bus. In the panic, a girl named Candace falls, and the other students trample over her in their hysteria. The crazed man enters the bus and grabs a few of the students. Meanwhile, Ever and Tamara meet up with Danny, Hunt, and Jessie. Shortly after, Randall and Steven join them. They all realize they need to find a place to hide from the chemicals spreading in the air. Suddenly, they hear a roar in the distance, and they start running to escape, eventually reaching an abandoned building. Inside, they discuss what's happening. Steven shares his theory that the chemical has likely turned people into zombies and that the crazed man who attacked the bus is definitely infected. Ever was very scared and terrified, and suddenly they heard the wild, terrifying, and frightening sounds again. They quickly rushed inside the building. Once inside, they split up to secure the place and monitor the entrances and exits. Tamara chose to go with Jessie instead of Ever, which made Ever angry at her for that decision. Ever went with Randall and Steven to look for any weapons they could use to protect themselves, and they made sure to lock all the openings, doors, and windows tightly. When Ever was alone with Steven, he started talking to her about the bullying and harassment he faced from their other classmates. Ever advised him to ignore them and not give them any attention. Then Randall showed up and joined the conversation, saying that high school is a miniature version of the outside world, where bullies exist everywhere. Once they finished securing all the entrances and exits, they heard their classmate Candace outside, calling for help. Ever wanted to open the door and let her in, but Randall held her back, saying that it wasn't a good idea because she might have been bitten by the zombie creatures and turned into one of them. Zombies were all over the place outside, and if they found out they were hiding inside, they could break in. When they looked at Candace, they saw that the zombie who had attacked them on the bus was watching her. Ever pleaded with them to save her, but everyone refused, even her friend Tamara. Ever got angry and frustrated with them. She tore off the wooden planks with her hands and shouted for Candace to come over. Candace started running quickly toward Ever, but suddenly, the vicious zombie attacked her in the blink of an eye. At that moment, the bus driver, Wayne, who had turned into a zombie, appeared and broke through the wooden boards they had placed over the window. Meanwhile, the other zombie broke through the door. They all ran away quickly and reached another room. Inside, they found their classmate Ryan. They cautiously approached him, and Ever asked him what happened to the rest of their classmates outside. Ryan told them that they had turned into zombies. He was sad and full of regret for not being able to save them. Suddenly, the zombies broke into the room, and Randall quickly broke through the wooden wall, creating an opening for them to escape. Meanwhile, Hunt stayed behind to hold off the zombies, sacrificing himself to give the others time to flee. Danny rushed over to help Hunt, trying to save him from the zombies. Ryan tried to escape through the hole, but it was too narrow for him because he was a bit heavy. Ever helped him, pulling him through with all her strength. In the meantime, the zombies dragged Hunt with them, and Danny, in fear, ran away with the others. Eventually, they reached another room, but Danny was overwhelmed with guilt for not being able to save his best friend Hunt from the zombies. At that moment, the group reconciled. In the room, they saw several mannequins that looked like each one of them. They realized that what was happening wasn't a coincidence. The zombies had purposely lured them here and were targeting them specifically. Suddenly, the zombie bus driver Wayne reappeared and attacked them. Danny charged at him, but Wayne was too strong and threw Danny aside. Wayne grabbed Tamara, but quickly, Randall hit him from behind with a metal rod. Wayne fell to the ground, and Randall kept hitting him on the head until he was dead. Tamara hugged Randall and thanked him for saving her life. Ever found that Wayne had dropped a lot of things that were in his pocket, so she gathered them up and picked up the lighter from the ground, celebrating with it. After that, Stephen said to them, "We need to get out of here quickly." At that moment, Danny started coughing in a strange and continuous manner, and everyone wanted to check on him. Danny lifted his shirt, and unfortunately, he had been injured by Wayne when he attacked him, and he was feeling very tired and exhausted now. Danny felt a severe chill, so he took the jacket from the mannequin and put it on. They started talking about what they should do next. Suddenly, Zombie Wayne burst into the room and spotted Danny by the window. He lunged at Danny and grabbed him. They both jumped out of the window and fell hard to the ground outside the building. When they looked down from above, they saw that Danny had stood up as if nothing had happened to him and started running as if he hadn't been hurt at all. It seemed that he had transformed into a wild zombie. At that moment, Jessie began to cry over what had happened to Danny, while Randall tried to calm her down. Then Randall said to everyone, "We need to secure ourselves well here in the building until we are rescued." But Ever objected, saying that staying there would lead to all of them dying and turning into zombies one after the other. She pointed out that they also didn't have any food or water and suggested they corner the zombies in one part of the building and escape from them quickly. They went to their bus, grabbed their phones, and called for help. However, Randall opposed her idea, saying, "We're not moving from here." But she didn't care about what he said. She gathered a bunch of cans and paints from the walls and mixed them together, igniting them with the lighter, and threw them on the car from above, resulting in a strong explosion that distracted the zombies. At that moment, she took the opportunity to escape to the other side of the building. Tamara followed her, trying to convince her to stay, but Ever was upset with Tamara for not supporting her when she tried to save caddies. Tamara admitted that she always opposed any opinion Ever had. Even Stephen tried to convince Ever to stay with them, but she told him, "You should have your own opinions and not listen to anything Randall says." Stephen decided that he wouldn't let her go out alone, so he went with her. The two of them left the building and reached the bus, where they found the bag containing their phones, but unfortunately, all the phones were broken. After that, they turned on the radio to hear the news and find out what was happening in the city. Suddenly, a surprise happened that no one expected. They listened to a tape recording in the cassette player stating that the news they heard about the spread of a chemical substance was just a lie, and the city was fine as it was with no chemical materials, zombies, or anything like that at all. Suddenly, Stephen had a syringe with a green liquid and apologized to her for what he had done, saying, "This is just a small dose, and you won't feel a thing." He told her that it was her fault for coming here and discovering the truth. After that, she lost consciousness. At that moment, Randall appears next to them, and he tells Stephen that the best thing he did was after discovering their secret. This reveals that Randall and Stephen are the ones plotting everything that's happening. The film then flashes back to a month before these events at school, where Randall is planning everything, and Stephen is also getting involved, wanting to teach Danny and his crew a lesson because they annoy him. They pay attention to the two girls they like, Ever and Tamara, and want to make them see them as heroes. Stephen agrees, and they head to this abandoned building to finalize their plan and operation. Randall recruits a dealer named Chip to help them. Chip is the zombie who attacked them at the beginning of the film on the bus. He helps them because he was also bullied by others and wants to take revenge and scare any bullies. Even Wayne, the driver, is involved to scare the trip's supervisor, Lorenzo, who always bothers him and thinks highly of himself. The blood that appeared on the bus was actually from a balloon filled with blood that Chip threw at it. However, it's strange that Chip takes the plan in a completely different direction, saying he has a drug called zombie juice that makes whoever is injected with it move and act like a zombie, following orders involuntarily. Afterward, they return to their normal selves. This way, they'll know much more, and they'll laugh at the bullies too. When Chip attacked them on the bus, he injected some of the students with this substance, and they started to follow his orders involuntarily. During this time, Ever is feeling something is off and sensing everything happening around her. Then, the zombie Chip shows up and takes off his mask while they're gathering around for having killed Mr. Lorenzo. He tells them he's sorry, he got a little too into the role. They start fighting with him because things got out of control, and of course, the other students won't forget what happened to them once they come to their senses. He reassures them about their friends, saying he locked them up in the agreed-upon place, and he mentions that he has a large supply of injections ready with the zombie substance. If they want to take out all their classmates at once, they can. The decision is theirs. Stephen objects to what Chip is saying, but Randall agrees to get rid of all their classmates who would end up in prison. After that, Randall and Stephen go to the place where Chip is holding the rest of their classmates captive, and they find all of them locked in a cage. Back on the bus, Ever is in distress and starts cursing Chip. He falls to the ground, and she keeps hitting him hard on the head, as we can see. Then we return to Randall and Stephen as they inject the remaining students with the drug to get rid of them. After that, Randall lets Stephen inject himself with the substance and heads into the building. He meets Tamara, and he's really sad, telling her that the zombie killed Ever. She gets upset and starts crying. Afterward, Randall takes Tamara, Jesse, and Ryan to the place where the rest of the students are locked up and gives them weapons, telling them they need to get rid of them before they kill them. But just in time, Ever shows up and tells them everything. Tamara hits Randall hard with the metal object she has and slams him into the wall. After that, he falls to the ground, and a curtain that was hanging on the wall falls down, revealing a picture of Randall in the form of a superhero, with Tamara hanging onto it. We also see Stephen in the form of a superhero with Ever holding on to him. At this moment, Stephen grabs a syringe off the ground to inject Ever, but Danny and Hunt pull him away and push him into the cage. Danny and Hunt escape from the cage, while the rest of their classmates beat Stephen up, breaking his bones. As for Randall, he keeps trying to fight back, but they keep hitting him. A group of girls grabs syringes from the bus and uses them to attack Randall fiercely, pushing him down the stairs. Danny ends up getting hit hard during this fight. He then expresses how he used to bully his classmates and annoy them, but the fight isn't over yet. Here, Randall appears from the stairs, his eyes filled with hatred and malice, looking like a monster because the dose Ever injected him with was way too high. The other girls, after they've returned to normal, attack him and keep hitting him, while Ever strikes him hard on the head with a sword. He collapses, completely unconscious. The next morning, they call the police, and they've tied up Randall, Stephen, Chip, and Wayne, and they get arrested. They all get on the bus, and Ever is going to drive them, telling them that yes, it was a tough experience for all of us, but it was necessary to go through something like this to get closer to each other, and stop making fun of and bullying one another. Suddenly, the supervisor Lorenzo starts moving, and we discover he's not dead, he's still alive. And that's how our film ends today. I hope you enjoyed it. Don't forget to support us with a like and subscribe if you liked the video.